We host the Hedera Hashgraph Meetup for the local region the first Monday of every month. This is a meetup group of people that are enthusiastic about blockchain and crypto, specifically the Hedera Hashgraph platform. Through our online programs that we've been running during COVID, we've interviewed everyone from the founders to some of the most influential people in the space, and we look forward to bringing those talks back into our space and hosting them here at the Creative Coast.
All right, hello everybody. Still letting some people in here, so I imagine that we usually get the little trickle in, so there'll probably be some of that as we continue on, but I thank everybody for joining us. It's great to be here for another Savannah Hedera Meetup. We've been doing these monthly Hedera Meetups since 2018, immediately after the 2018 hackathon there in Dallas. I got on to what was at the time the Hedera Ambassador Program, and was conducting these meetups every month. It was typically first Monday, but it's kind of floating. Last few months has been really last year or so. It's been kind of floating from Monday to Monday, depending on when people can make it. But we try and do these once a month, every Monday, and it's been fun. When we started off, we did these in person, and Rob and myself, a handful of others, would get together. My buddy Lou would cook some homemade Chinese food. He was our unofficial executive chef, and we would eat delicious food, sit around and drink carbonated waters or beers or whatever the choice of the drink of choice may be.
I do miss that food.
Yes, me too. And I look forward to doing that again. One of these days, we're going to have a celebration, maybe some kind of launch party, and we're going to have Lou put the menu together for us so we can enjoy some of that again. But I got the sun coming in my eyes here. It's coming through this window pretty strong. That's interesting. All right, so I'm going to try and stay in the shade here just a little bit. Yeah, so it's been fun, and since the whole pandemic thing hit, we've been doing these virtual. I like to keep them fairly informal. It's just to kind of echo the style of the meetups and how it was originally. We sit around and talk shop. And of course, it's all related to Hedera Hashgraph, and well, not all of it's related to Hedera Hashgraph and HBAR, but primarily we talk about Hedera and HBAR related things. I like to get guests in every month to talk, and it's been fun, and it's a good way for the community to keep in touch, and and keep those traditions rolling. Along with that, I would like to thank. So this is hosted by Creative Coast. Let me let somebody in here. Welcome. And so this is hosted by Creative Coast. Creative Coast is an organization in the coastal lowland area of Georgia, primarily in Savannah, but there's also offices. There's other offices in the coastal area, and so the idea behind Creative Coast is create, code, and collide. It's an organization that provides support to entrepreneurs in the coastal area of Georgia. That's directed by Jen Bonet, and Caitlin Lance is her assistant, and those two ladies have been so helpful throughout this whole process for me as a new entrepreneur coming into the technology space. Jen Bonet is a serial entrepreneur, very talented, very helpful, and both her and Caitlin have done so much to help me throughout this process. So I always want to give a shout out and a thanks to them. I want to thank Brandon and Hedera Forum for joining us. This is our distinguished and special guest, so we really appreciate Brandon taking some time to show up with us. Of course, we've been in contact with Brandon since the very earliest days of Hedera. We're all OGs in the Hedera space, so it's exciting to see that Hedera Forum logo there on the nice background and see his smiling face. So we really appreciate you joining. Of course, I'm Jeremy Fletcher. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Walla Wallet, of Ledgerama, the creators of Walla Wallet. My partner, Rob Keynes, is in the office here today as well. He's our CTO and also co-founder. So, Walla Wallet has been supporting HBAR and now Hedera tokens, again, since the earliest days. We were there when the Hedera wallet was being phased out and sunsetted. We were there to onboard users that needed a new wallet to hold their HBAR in. So we take pride in being bulletproof, secure, rock solid, stable, user friendly, all of those things. Of course, HTS did introduce some. I see Rob smiling because he knows, because we have had a few scattered stability issues lately after adopting HTS. But the Hedera token service is it's just a new animal, and it's new technology. So we're doing the best we can to stay on top of it. And Rob is chewing through these issues fast. And I think that we may have nailed down the last bugaboo of this this release today. We'll see if that holds up, but I'm hopeful that that continues to be the case. And so because of the jam promotion that we had going on today, I also wanted to thank Andrew Antar and Tune.fm for providing us the jam tokens. They are a treasured partner of ours, so we're very appreciative of the jam tokens that were given to us to do this promotion. And it was same as the HBAR and jam token promotion that we did back in December. Those were provided by our good friends and partners, Andrew and the Tune.fm team. So big shout out to them. Hope everybody is supporting Tune.fm the best they can. And of course, I want to thank Chris Fox, the head of the Hedera Hashgraph Facebook group. He's a big supporter of Walla Wallet and does many great things for this community. So really appreciate him taking the time to be here and to help us through these things. So with that, I think the first order of business, since I said it, I said we were going to do it around 6 o'clock. I think the first order of business should be to talk about the jam tokens and to talk about associating those in Walla Wallet. So we should have a winner decided by now. Chris Fox, could you unmute and tell us if we have the winner yet? And if so, who it is? So this is the winner of the 10,000 jam token giveaway that we're doing today. And by the way, if the winner happens to be here, they're going to get 1,000 jam token bonus for being in the room with us.
Yeah, I'm in the process of picking it right now. Let's see what happens.
All right, good deal.
How is it being picked?
Pick me.
While he's picking it, I can tell you something. Andrew Antar from Tune FM, he and I back in 2018, you were talking about 2018 a little bit ago. We did meetups in Philadelphia, and we did several of them in the very early days of Hedera, and I was an ambassador too. We had a few beers afterwards, so we had a good time. That's
cool. Yeah, well, I would have liked to have been there for those. That would have been a lot of fun. Yeah, we've been working hard in the space since very early days. So, sure. And it's just incredible to see Tune.fm continue on. I mean, after all the things that all of us in the space have been through, all the growing pains, they're still right there, supporting us with really one of my favorite, probably my favorite use case on Hedera. It may not be, there's some others that might have, like the stuff that ACOR is doing with the health stuff, with health records and stuff. I mean, that is really close and near and dear to my heart. Being able to put records, make them accessible to people, health records, and make them accessible, verifiable, anytime, anywhere. I mean, that speaks dearly to my heart. But both Rob and I are musicians, and so jam tokens are where it's at, and we've loved Tune.fm since the beginning. So, Chris, oh, sorry, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, my band's writing original music, and I'm going to definitely pitch the idea to them about releasing that on Tune.fm. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. When the music gets played, the artist gets paid. I mean, it's really, it's an incredible model. The idea of paying artists directly for the work that they do is really revolutionary. And that's one of the things that I think that we're all waiting to see in the space, is the fruition of these use cases where the artists and their communities are really being rewarded and can kind of get that direct customer audience to producer, content creator relationship going. So
the things that true micropayments enable are pretty amazing. Tune FM is a great example. Another example is Inara, another group that they're doing it with books, right? When you turn the page, the author gets paid, same kind of stuff. But it really is a frontier use case that is going to revolutionize all kinds of things that we can't even imagine now.
Right. Yep. And the throughput of the Hashgraph network. I mean, that's what we're all looking at as being the platform that's going to be able to really deliver those solutions. Chris, have we got any updates on the winner?
Yes, we have a winner.
All right.
Twitter handle is Earthwalker. Congratulations. Earthwalker. I put it in the chat for you.
Okay, great. Is there, all right, do they have, let's see, okay, I see it. It's like a stylized Earthwalker with the H bar there. That's actually a very cool name. Okay, and it's an interesting speller of Earthwalker too. Okay, cool. I'm going to take a second to copy those down. And is Earthwalker by chance in the audience? All right, well, that's all right. So the $1,000 jam token bonus Interesting. I'm wondering if
You don't
maybe
mean, you don't mean $1,000, right? It's,
I'm sorry. Did I say $1,000?
yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I meant 1,000 jam tokens. Sorry about that. Pardon. Yeah, no, not 1,000.
It's
We're
still
not-
a good
Oh,
chunk.
wait. I thought it was 10,000 gem tokens, but a
There's
thousand
a
if they were here.
Right. The $1,000
Okay.
bonus. Yeah.
1,000 jam token bonus.
Yeah. Got it. All right. Well, we'll get in touch with Earthwalker via Twitter, and as soon as and folks, and by the way, if you folks here in the group, if you reach out to us, we had a promotion going with the airdrops where people were getting 1,000 jam tokens, and I did get permission to make good on some of those, even though we stopped the airdrop campaign. Andrew said he was fine with us, doing some 1,000 giveaways. So if you folks, the folks that are here, David, if you folks reach out to me and let me know that you were here in the meetup, I'm happy to, we'll figure something out. I want to support all the people that showed up. So we appreciate you being here. All right. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Brandon, and what have you got for us? What kind of news, what kind of updates have you got for us this week? What's on your mind these days?
I guess the first thing that I want to do is a little plug on Walla Walla, because it's true. This just happened to me. I was using an application that's built on Hedera, a popular one. I do that with most of them, right? We go out there, we try new things, all that kind of stuff. Well, I had actually put $10,000 into this application. And of course, I backed up everything. I backed up the wallet, had the seed phrases, all that kind of stuff. But I didn't realize the first time I wanted to go and take those back off, that I had to put that private key in there every time you removed it. It was just a new application for me. So I went and I did that, and it didn't work. And of course, you get that sinking feeling, right? Pretty concerned, right? And so I tried to use that seed phrase, and I tried to open up a wallet. I had a few random ones lying around, so I tried to open it up on one of them. Didn't work. Tried it on a different wallet. Didn't work. Tried it on Walla Wallet. How you can open up multiple wallets. And the feature is really easy. But I just tried it on there, and nothing changed, right? I had the same seed phrase. I had the same private key, but it opened right up. I'm not sure what happened with the other ones, but I know the exact same thing happened. Or I put the exact same phrase in, and it didn't work, but it worked with Walla Wallet, and it's the one that I trust the most. I have a few custody solutions that I use, but as far as a hot wallet, I have the most HBAR that I have on a wallet in Walla Wallet. So I certainly trust it. I've started to ramp up my content a little bit. I don't know if people have been catching some of those videos lately, but I just booked Lehman. One thing that I was really curious about. I have Lehman probably next Monday. I'm going to record it. I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to post it, but we're going to get Lehman on. And something that I've been wondering about, we've heard them say several times that having a base layer token is much better than having a ERC20 or a smart contract based token. But I really don't know why. And so that's what I want to specifically ask him. Why is a base layer token so much better than all the other tokens out there that are built on smart contracts? So I'm curious about that. I'm looking forward to getting Jordan Freed back on. He's going to be coming on next month.
Nice.
And this one's a little bit further out because he has a bunch of videos coming. But I did get confirmation on getting Mike Maloney as well. So
Terrific.
Yeah, good for you. Awesome.
That's awesome.
He's been fantastic as far as putting the word out and interviewing Manson Lehman, right? And of course, Manson Lehman are fantastic educators, and they put out great information. But he was interviewing them. I want to know what he has to think, right? I haven't really heard what his thoughts are on Hedera. He's obviously he put the stuff out in the one video he had, and I think those are generally his feelings, but I'd like to have some back and forth and get some more information from him. Now, this is a good 5 months out because he has some projects he needs to knock out first, but I did get confirmation on that. So that's what I have going on. We have a bunch of good videos that are going to be coming out over the next few weeks, so I'm looking forward to it, having fun with it.
Awesome. That's cool. Yeah. Getting Lehman on there. I know his time is, it's probably tough to get him on there, but you've been successful at getting some monsters on there. I mean, John, what's the last name? Sosnoff?
Yeah. Tom Sosnoff.
Tom, excuse me.
Yeah. And that's one thing I thought it would have gotten a lot more traction, but I don't think he's well known in the crypto industry. So he's pretty much a titan in the options trading world. He's absolutely brilliant. And his platform, very forward thinking, is listing cryptocurrencies and is listing HBAR. I think it's one of the top, or the first, I think it's the first 26. They have 26 total that they have on there. And so I saw that news, and of course I tweeted it out. And I have gotten so much education from their Tastyworks YouTube channel. And I knew his, I'm not going to say side, his co-host really well. And I noticed that he liked my tweet. So I contacted him and asked him if he would possibly want to come on. And he kicked it up the chain and managed to get Tom on there. So I was excited about that. So if anybody hasn't seen that one, check it out. It's really good. He has great insight into crypto, into markets in general. And I got to pitch him a little bit on HBAR. So that was fun.
Yeah, definitely. And thanks for doing that, by the way. As people working in the space and, and HBAR investors, we absolutely appreciate all the work that you do. And I mean, and like I said, you've had some monster guests. I mean, you have Mance on there, you got Lehman coming. You're always getting a good lineup. And so for somebody of your caliber to come in here, meet up with us, and sing the praises of Walla Wallet, we do really appreciate it.
Yeah,
So we did have some other stuff that we wanted to talk about. So I was going to do a walkthrough of associating jam tokens in Walla Wallet. It's just a screen recording that I have, but I don't have a whole lot of time because I've got to go pick somebody. I've got to go pick up somebody in about 25 minutes. So I'm not sure I want to do that. Now, if that's something that's desirable and people want to still do that little recording, we can do it. But essentially, it's a little brief video of walking people through the associating jam tokens in Walla Wallet. What do you think, Brandon?
I could certainly use it because I actually wanted to associate SHBAR to my Walla Wallet if possible. So
all right. So this recording, and it's brief, folks. So we won't spend a whole lot of time on this. Yeah. So there's the walkthrough, and so what the walkthrough handles is associating jam tokens, but the process is the same. And you're more than welcome to share the SHBAR token ID if you've got it handy. Give me just 1 second here.
I have it here, Jeremy, if you'd like.
What's that?
So it's 0.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go lay it on me.
0.0.751086.
751086. Okay. Okay, so first off, just to kind of let you know where we're at here. Okay, so we are on the account screen in Walla Wallet, and you can see the HTS tokens listed there. There's like that 508137 account has got JAM and USDC associated with it. The one below it, the 733733 account, does not currently have JAM tokens associated with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to tap into that. We're going to tap that account card. All right, and that's going to bring us to this screen here. All right, now on the bottom, you're going to see this associate token button. We're going to tap that. Okay. And that takes us to the token ID field. So we're going to put in the token ID. And again, the recording that I had here was for jam tokens. And that's 127877. But let me pause real quick. Again, if folks want to associate the SHBAR token, instead of putting 0.0.127877, which is the jam token, they would just enter the token ID of 0.0.751086 is for SHBAR. All right. Any questions so far, or are we good to continue on?
So how did you get to that page from the home page of the wallet? I missed that part. Sorry about that.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so I think the video, yeah, let's see if I can just back it up here. It's a little tricky handling the recording on the device, so bear with me.
No worries.
Okay, so this is your home page here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and so you can see this is where, so basically I think of Walla Wallet like a file cabinet, right? You've got the file cabinet is Walla Wallet, the application itself. There's drawers to the file cabinet, and each of those drawers is like your wallet, and that drawer is locked with a key. You can see a little key icon. So you can think of, you've got a locked cabinet a locked drawer. Inside that drawer are folders. The folders are the accounts, like 508-137, 733, 733. So those would be the folders in there. And then when you open up that folder, or tap into the account rather, you're going to get all of the transaction records, which would be like the files and the stuff that are inside the folder. So that's kind of how I think, that's the little analogy that I use to think of the way that we structured this with the wallets and the accounts, which allows you to have things like multiple wallets with separate keys, separate and distinct private keys, and allows you to have multiple accounts within each of those wallets. So we'll go ahead and
just briefly,
go ahead.
Jeremy, the next version of Walla Wallet, the next major version of Walla Wallet will default to a single wallet only view, but you'll be able to then enable the multiple wallets in the advanced view. So if you turn on the advanced functions, you'll get an icon at the top left where you'll be able to, or somewhere on the page, I'm not sure where it's ultimately going to end up, where you'll be able to, go through and manage your multiple wallets like this again. But for convenience, because most people only use one wallet, it'll default to one wallet, but we're still going to keep that functionality there for advanced users like Brandon and ourselves.
Good deal. Awesome. Yeah, a lot of work. Yeah, that's, it's a continuing evolution, right? And so as we get feedback, and as we, as we work through different issues and get feedback, things definitely evolve, and there's some good things coming down in the not so distant future. So Brandon, you with us? So are we good to continue on? You think you're with us?
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Okay, cool. So from there, we're going to tap into that, and this is where we're brought to our accounts, the listing of the accounts. So our account cards, excuse me. All right, and then from here, so since I already have JAM and USDC associated with that account that you see at the top, the 508-137, but I don't have JAM associated with the 733-733 account. So I'm going to go ahead and tap into that, and that's going to bring us to the transaction page, right? Well, what do you call it? I call it the transaction page. What do you call it, Rob?
I call it the account detail page. So the transactions are available if you click on actually, it's interesting because normally, there you go at the bottom. Okay. So you see tokens and transactions.
Play button was covering it up.
Yeah, that's what it is. So by default, you see the tokens there. But if you click on the transactions tab, you would then see the transactions associated with that account. So I call this whole screen the account detail screen because it contains, all the details for the accounts, the tokens, the transactions.
Okay, I like that better. I'm going to use that going forward. Yeah. Okay. So, and then you see at the bottom there, or towards the bottom, third item from the bottom would be the associate token button. All right. Which takes us to the token ID field, right? So there's a little message about the service fees. And actually, if I remember right, we're going to go back to that here in just a second, because you do have to have an account selected that's going to pay the fees. The first time I did this, that account had already been selected, but it's just a little step that people need to remember, that they've got to have in settings. There's a way to select the account that's going to pay for the small fee. And Walla Wallet doesn't charge any fees at this time, but there is a small Hedera network fee. How are we doing, Brandon? You following with us so far?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right, great. And so now you can see JAM tokens. You've got the JAM card there. This is where I went back, and we're going to select the account that's going to pay the small transaction fee. There's an associate token fee rather. And then we go back to the wallet. I can stop. You good? All right. Yeah, and so it's a little funky doing it this way, but in the past I've ran into some issues doing live demos.
No,
So
I gotcha.
yeah, so we're so it makes a little bit more sense to go through it this way. But all right, that's it. It's now Jam is now associated, and I take a little bit, through selecting the Jam token as the token that you want to send, and then the amount, all that kind of good stuff. So was there anything else that you wanted to go over? Is that pretty clear?
We're good. And actually, the reason why I couldn't follow along was because I didn't update my Walla wallet. So I just did that, and we're all set.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So you're good now. You've got Shibar associated in Walla Wallet.
Yeah, it was easy.
Very cool. It is easy. It's a
Perfect.
little bit, it's a little bit tricky. That's why I created the walkthrough video, because after getting a little bit of feedback, I understand that because of the way that we structured the wallet, it's a little bit, people get a little bit confused as to where to find the things that they need. So a little walkthrough, but yeah, once Rob has done a fantastic job, really. Once of course, that customer education process is always a challenge, but once you know where stuff is at in Walla Wallet, you can just really fly through the thing, and it's very simple. It's very fast. So really proud of the work that Rob's done. But with that, I'm going to stop share. All right. All right. So in the time that we have left here, the main topic that I wanted to talk about today was Biden's executive order. So he had an executive order very relevant to cryptocurrency. So that was something that I did want to go into. But before we do that, I'm interested in this MasterCard thing that you brought up, Brandon. So I saw that the foundation has set aside, if I understand it right, $100 million for sustainable development projects. And Dovu, by the way, quick shout out to Matt Smithies and the whole the Dovu team, doing an awesome job. And they've been, they're one of those companies that's right there. They're just good people, and they're working right there at the heart of all this, right there in between the Ethereum world and the HTS world. So really appreciate the work that they're doing.
So yeah, about the was there a question in there?
Well, no,
Did you
no.
want
So
me to
that
just
was
get in it?
yeah. So I didn't really have. Okay, so that was Dovu. It looked like you had something to maybe say about Dovu, but
I've got all kinds of stuff.
Cool. But the last thing that I wanted to close before we go on to the MasterCard thing was just basically kind of what I understand of the deal, which is not very much. But that there's this $100 million sustainability fund that was set aside by the foundation, Dovu being the first team that we're familiar with. Them being the first ones they're getting access to this pool of money that the foundation has set aside. But then there was some news floating around about MasterCard, and they also have some kind of sustainability initiative, and they want to go after some funds from the foundation too. That's all that I know. Other than that, I really know nothing. So any insight you have into that deal, because of course that would be a huge customer and that could potentially drive some major TPS on the network. So it's something we're all interested in.
Sure. So it's a small thread right now. And what it was there was a manager and executive, somebody fairly high up in MasterCard that saw the thing with the sustainability fund. And we all know Rob Allen. Rob Allen is with the HBAR Foundation now, and he's one of the two leads on the sustainability fund, him and Wes. And this gentleman from MasterCard contacted Rob on Twitter and said, I want to pitch you something. So I'm not exactly sure what that all means, but luckily tomorrow evening, I'm going to be interviewing both Rob and Wes, and I'm going to ask that specific question. Now I'm going to be interviewing him tomorrow. Rob made it very clear that he doesn't know how much he's going to be able to talk about, or he may talk about everything now, but I might have to delay the release until next week. So he's going to tell us all about it. But the other thing that you mentioned was Dovu, and I have them tomorrow morning. So we're going to get as much information as we can, but that's as much as I know about the MasterCard link right now. But it's always nice when MasterCard starts reaching out to Hedera, or at least the HBAR Foundation.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Despite what you may think about major credit card providers, a lot of what we're doing in this space is circumventing the fees of these behemoths. But that's a whole different thing. We love TPS, we love transactions. So having MasterCard reaching out to the HBAR Foundation is an incredible step.
Yeah, no question about that. And the thing is of course, that's what cryptocurrency does, right? It gets rid of the intermediary, and MasterCard is a pretty big intermediary, but
It's huge.
they also have to, if they want to survive, they need to figure out how to evolve. And I think that's what they're doing. They're going
Right.
to figure out how to evolve. And we want them to do that on Hedera for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's actually really exciting. I mean, because, while we do get a little squeamish about these big behemoths coming in and, and pushing everybody around, I mean, that's kind of the nature of the Hedera Council to begin with. It's ran by behemoths, right? So of course they're going to go for these big use cases, and that's awesome. So of course at the bottom we all go a little, but but it's still good to see. So Brando, if you don't mind, I see Brandon Saylor out there. If he's listening, have you heard anything about the MasterCard deal? Is there anything you can add to the conversation?
No, I haven't. Only what Brandon just went over there.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. Cool.
Of course, everybody in the community, makes it a big deal, and it is a big deal. But at the same time, that's all we have for now.
Right. Yeah. And it's not, applying to the HBAR Foundation. Hey, but that's, one of the things that you said, I mean, really is just the fact that somebody high up at MasterCard is noticing Hedera, right? I mean, that in and of itself, I mean, that's pretty big news. Just getting noticed, right? So, I mean, of course, we've got some big players in the space now, so maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but still, the word is getting out and other people are starting to tune in and turn on. So yeah, good on them. All right. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about was this executive order. So real quickly, I'll just kind of run through the notes that I had made off of this executive order. I didn't get through the whole thing. It is, as most things that come out of Washington, it is a fairly lengthy and unreadable document, but but it is what it is. Yeah. So points of concern that he raises in the executive order. And some of these are going to be, standard status quo stuff that we're, no big surprise. Protection of consumers, investors, and businesses. So these are the points of concern that he raised in the executive order. Protection of consumers, investors, and business. Data privacy and security, which is interesting coming from which is interesting. Given some of the bills that have been passed in the U.S. that just basically completely bypass the privacy laws and the things that is established in the Constitution of being able, having private transactions and private affairs. But at any rate, data privacy and security. These are the points of concern. Financial stability, systemic risk, crime, national security, the ability to exercise human rights. That was listed as a concern in this executive order. I thought that was very interesting. The ability to exercise. So there's some language in the executive order that was surprising to me. I'm not really sure. I haven't really done a deep dive on what any of it means or what the significance is. But you just at a cursory glance, you can kind of glean some stuff. But it's interesting. The ability to exercise human rights, financial inclusion, which is big. I mean, that's one of the things that I think is really important, because that we've all known the importance of that in the crypto space. Banking the unbanked, so to speak, helping with these cross-border remittances and making those cheaper for people to distribute wealth across the world. Those are all big things. So good that he's hitting on those, and of course throws in climate change and the potential that cryptocurrency mining might pose to the environment. And I only snicker just because of there's so many, there's a lot of other things going on in the world that so severely impact the climate and the environment, but I'll just leave that one alone for now. So the objectives that he set out, disclosure of risks associated with investment in digital assets. So disclosure of risks, this is typical investor stuff, right? Disclosure of risks associated with investment in digital assets. Ensuring safeguards against cybersecurity threats and market failures. And one of the things that I thought, basically with these market failures, he's basically talking about like exit scams or hacks on the exchanges, which nobody knows really. Like, was it an insider job or I think the answer is often perhaps yes. So at any rate, cybersecurity threats, market failures. Digital asset. So his points of concern within these objectives relate to digital asset issuers, of which Hedera Hashgraph would be would be what you consider a digital asset issuer, as would Tune.fm, as would Shibar, the Shibar network. These would be digital asset issuers. They're looking at exchanges, trade platforms, and Rob, intermediaries. Blah, 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 blah. So these are things that they want to look at. These are they have their objectives in relation to their points of concern, and those are essentially the sectors of the business that they want to investigate, which is basically all of it. And then he wants to. He talked about an evolution to the regulatory approach, and that essentially that digital assets and cryptocurrency may pose certain systemic risks and all kinds of. There's more stuff in there, but I'm going to stop there and kind of check in with you, Brandon. What do you think about what are you thinking about the executive order so far?
Well, as far as, I mean, if I read the thing to cover to cover because I'm a crypto dork. That's what I do.
Right.
And I couldn't.
Me too.
Have
I just hadn't done it yet. I'll get there.
I couldn't have asked for better as far as Hedera's stance, right? They talked a lot about innovation and wanting to promote innovation, and that's what Hedera is all about. They're all about environmental efficiency, and we've had 2 academic papers put out that put Hedera at #1 as far as environmental efficiency. And it's not just environmental efficiency, right? It's efficiency in general. And that's what allows us to have low fees and everything that enables as well. It was exciting to see some of the stuff. I'm happy for the environmentally focused use cases we have. There were 2 that popped to my mind when I read through it. One of them was around smart grids and power transitions. I don't know if you've seen their plug and they're building on Hedera. I haven't heard from them much. So that's one thing I want to follow up. I want to get with their team, but that's exactly what they're doing. And they've been doing it for 3.5 or 4 years. Right. And they're building on Hedera. And then here's a quick quote out of it. So what they want to focus on is the potential use cases of blockchain that could support monitoring or mitigating technologies to climate impacts, such as exchanging of liabilities for greenhouse gas emissions, water, or other natural or environmental assets. I mean, they're talking directly to Dovu.
They're staring Dovu right in the face.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, and all that there are concerning aspects of it, but it's exactly what you would think. They would, would be the concerning aspects for somebody who's looking forward to decentralization and everything that cryptocurrency is going to enable. So, I mean, I really couldn't be happier with it. I think Hedera's in a really good spot, position themselves really well. And it's exactly what we want, right? We want regulatory clarity. And that's exactly what they're driving towards. This is just the initial foray into it. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, but that's what we want. We want regulatory clarity, so we know what the rules are, so Hedera can operate within them and become as successful as possible.
Yeah, so in the executive order, it was outlined that all of the federal agencies that were essentially being called upon to contribute to the evolutionary approach to this regulation, it was the kitchen sink. I mean, it was everybody. I mean, well, not everybody, but I mean, and the EPA was in there. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was just the alphabet soup of federal organizations that are getting directed to contribute to this evolutionary approach.
Department of Commerce and Department of Treasury, the Fed, as you said, I mean, science and technology, everybody was in there.
Right. Yeah. And it was interesting how he kind of introduced the Fed. He was like, he said something to the effect of like, in respect for the independently regulatory body of the Federal Reserve, we're also including. So it was it was interesting how he phrased it in there, that, that just in respect, giving them the respect that
of independence.
Yeah, right. Yeah, of independence, right. Independence. Yeah, I know. Really? And this independent corporation is going to manage the U.S. Treasury? I don't know if that's ever been a good idea, but I'm gonna bend on that point and move on to some of the other stuff that was in there. Mitigating illicit finance, of course, that was a big one. They have a special passion in their heart for going after money launderers and financing terrorism and those kinds of things. Those of course raise interesting questions because it's difficult to wage a war on an idea, right? Terrorism is an idea. How do you wage war on that? I mean, I see that. I mean, I know that the approach that they say that they're going after. I just don't know how effective they're really being at the end of the day. But
Well, I mean, of course they're going to say that. They've been saying that is one of their main concerns about cryptocurrency for the past decade, right? So of course that's
absolutely.
going to be what is going to be included.
Yeah.
But the truth is, through on-chain, on-graph analytics, they can figure all, I mean, it's a law enforcement kind of dream, right? they can figure stuff out. If you want to break the law, you shouldn't be doing it. You should be doing it with cash, right? You shouldn't be doing it on a blockchain or a hash graph. It's probably a bad idea.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I'm not concerned about that. I'm just happy that it seems like they're very open to the innovation that this is going to enable.
Right. Yeah. I just always, yeah, I just kind of have a little bit of that, oh yeah, sure. Like, we'll see if we'll see if that works, but I don't need to be a negative Nancy on the stuff. Like you said, there was a lot of good stuff that come out of it, and particularly just the focus on regulatory clarity. Finally, right. My only concern is, sometimes you get a little bit of this, is it too little too late kind of concern, but
I'm surprised we got it now. So
okay, good. And one of the main objectives, of course, is maintaining the dollar, maintaining the primacy of the dollar as the reserve currency of the world. And he said he particularly wanted to. This I thought. Oh, and so of course, financial inclusion. We talked about that just a little bit. Maintaining the primacy of the dollar as the reserve currency of the world. Do you want to weigh in on that a little bit?
Well, sure. I mean, I have concerns around CBDCs and a US CBDC as well. I mean, as far as how they can track you and all that kind of stuff, I do have concerns about that. I'm a libertarian. That said, I'm also an American, and I want us to stay ahead on these things. The digital yuan is already out there and kicking, and we need to, as it says, we need to stay competitive. So right. I think we should move forward on that. And if it's going to be done, if there is going to be a CBDC in the United States, I want it to be built on Hedera.
Yeah, of course. Right. Of course, we're looking for that. Yeah.
And I mean, we're in a really good spot. I mean, if you look at the stuff that MTech has done, they're joined at the hip with Hedera. So
absolutely.
I think we're positioned really well. And all these things, I mean, that's why I'm happy with the stance Hedera has in light of this executive order. If you look at where we are across the board on all these things, we're in a really good spot.
Right. Yeah. So, in that same vein, while I was watching the Senate hearing that they held back in December, where they were interviewing the other crypto CEOs, and particularly what I was thinking about in this context was the interview with Jeremy Allaire, who's the CEO of Circle, which provides USDC, and he had a really interesting point to that end about the prime. Particularly in regards to the primacy of the dollar as the reserve currency of the world, that we're currently winning, right? We're winning that battle, because think of the amount of transactions that are happening on USD based stable coins, right? There's trillions upon trillions of dollars of transactions happening on the USD based stable coins, not on the yuan based stable coins, right? So while there is some, right? It was something like $10 billion US dollars worth of transactions that have happened on China based stable coins. But so far think of USD, think of Tether, regardless of what you think of Tether, that is a USD stable coin. USDC, which I think is really, to me, is the kind of creme de la creme of the stable coin space currently. And
no question.
which happens to have HTS, right? So, or be supported by HTS. And I have that. I don't have it handy, but I should have it's on there somewhere. I've got the USDC token ID floating around here somewhere. I don't know how to get it yet, though. I haven't figured out how to get the USDC Hedera tokens yet.
Yeah, you give any of these people in some of these countries with destabilizing currencies a choice of what to buy, and it's probably going to be US dollars.
Right.
And I mean, if we are concerned about, government oversight and everything along those lines, if somebody's going to win the US dollar or the yuan, you're going to want it to be the US dollar.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, because, like you said, the concerns that are raised, right? I still feel confident that we have the ability to change the direction of the ship if we don't like the way it's going, right? If we as a country come to a point where we finally, to me, I would like our country to wake up to some of the egregious violations that have already happened, in terms of our the privacy laws and stuff. But all that stuff set aside, it is up to us as a country, and I have the confidence that we will do it, to assert our own will and our own desires, right? And have them hashed out on the floor up in Washington, or at the state houses, at the government state bodies, those kinds of things. So the state governments at that level as well. So.
well, I think
for
that's
the future.
a big part of what this executive order is about. They put in some of the clauses around cryptocurrency into that one bill back in the fall, and they saw the uproar that resulted and how passionate people are around this, wanting the innovation. And I think that's a big part of this. They're probably looking forward to the midterms.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and another one of the things that Jeremy Allaire, the CEO from Circle and creator of USDC, raised was the feature richness of the dollar, of a digital dollar, right? So that is how we're going to stay competitive on and maintain the primacy of the dollar, is by making it actually easy to use and making it feature rich. Especially if they're going to do CBDC, right? We'll do it right. Make it efficient, make it fast, make it cheap to transact. Make sure that there's some really fascinating stuff going on in the privacy space right now, digital privacy space. So there's some, I don't know if, did you hear about Nillions? And there's this,
Yeah.
I did.
yes, right. So
Former Hedera CMO, I believe, is on that team.
right.
Andrew, is that Andrew?
Yes, Andrew. Yeah, I forget his
Andrew,
last name. Yep.
Starts with a Y.
Right. So that's Nillions. I don't have the link handy, or I would post it, but Nillions. And I forget what the term for that type of computing is.
I'm not sure. I haven't dug into it quite enough, but there's a lot of Hedarians out there that have dug into it and seem excited about it. So I can't imagine it's anything but something that would at least not compete with Hedera and probably support.
Right.
So it's like a decentralized computing layer. So they can do, like we're talking about the blockchain being public, they can basically, it's not encryption. It's a way that they scramble the data and decentralize it. So they can do decentralized identity. They could do, you could like run Hedera through their system, and it would completely, encryption is not the right word because it's not encryption, but it would completely make all the transactions so, it's not so transparent. It's pretty interesting.
Right. So the force of that being, just to me, when at first glance, I said, this is great for privacy technology, zero knowledge privacy tech. This is great. And so if the CBDC, so if a CBDC is imminent, right? I would love to see some of these privacy features essentially guaranteed, right? With mathematical proof that there is a level of protection around the privacy of our transactions. Fascinating technology. So I'm sorry that I don't have a link handy, but it's Nillions, kind of like the word millions, but with an N instead of an M.
They just released a video. They they did in Soho, London. I just watched it. It's really good. It's really high level, but they explain it in a way where you can sort of understand it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I had seen there was a Hidden Forces podcast about it. Was Dimitri Kofinkas, is that the name? I think that's the name. That does the Hidden Forces podcast. He interviewed them, and it's getting a lot of buzz in the Hedera community right now. So highly, if people want to check it out, I need to do some deep dive on it too, like many other things, like finishing reading the executive order too. But one of the things that I quoted this, I thought, again, I talked earlier about some of the interesting language that was in the executive order, and I'll finish with this as far as the conversation around CBDCs, and that is something that is that's pointed out in the executive order. And he says, he talks about showcasing U.S. leadership and participation in the international flora related to CBDC. Showcasing U.S. leadership and participation in the international flora related to CBDC. So there's kind of an interesting flowery language to be found in an executive order. But hey, I kind of liked it. Get a little poetic in the executive order there.
I thought that might have had more than one meeting or something. Might be flowers, but I don't know. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. But
flora and fauna. I mean, that's got to be what he's talking about. Showcasing the U.S. leadership and the international flora related to CBDC. It's very strange.
It's what popped into my head.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange language for an executive order, but hey, we'll leave it at that. Any before I've got to go, is there any other kind of closing comments that you have on the CBDC stuff, Brandon, or any of you really, Rob, Brandon?
No, not much. No. Does anybody else on the line have any questions for me? Anything like that?
Yeah, please. This is, I didn't mention that early on, and I apologize. But yeah, folks that are in, anybody and everybody's welcome to go off mute and ask questions if they, if you so desire. We do. I do my best to hold these like I would a normal meetup. So if anybody has any questions, you're more than welcome to come off mute and join in the fun. But other than that, if not, then we'll go ahead and start to wrap it up. And thanks again to.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, ZD. Go ahead.
My username on Twitter is Zetzi. I'm I thought Brandon was very kind enough to send me the invite, so I sort of popped in to say hello. But I was listening to you guys discussing the executive order, and you guys have discussed pretty much everything that I've seen and sort of has come to my own mind. But there was an interesting comment that I saw. I was listening to this podcast on Spotify, and I can't remember the name of the other podcast. I'm sorry about that. But he was a guy who's working at the Capitol Hill, and he knows all this stuff about, the internet governance and blockchain. And he said what was really interesting to him was, having read the executive order, he got this very similar feeling to what he got when he read when Bill Clinton was regulating the internet, or going through the very early stages of looking into some kind of regulation about the internet. And obviously we've seen, how well the internet has progressed from something that was generally considered to be a bit of a threat, and I think for him to have made that comparison, I don't know what was going on back then, but for him to have made that comparison with blockchain to the internet and regulation, I think it was an exciting thing for me to read. And I can't delve on that anymore, but that's what I heard that, and I thought it was an interesting comment.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I like it. And I can imagine that when the administration said, okay, we've got to do something, right? We've got to say something about this, right? Because Congress is over here doing their stuff, right? And they're talking about it. They're having hearings. What is the administration doing? What is the White House? What is their stance? I have to imagine that they probably went back, comparing these to the life cycle of these technologies. They probably went to, well, what's our most, maybe I would imagine they probably went to what's our most recent kind of, interaction with the technology space like this. What do we do? What do we say before? Was it successful? And yeah, I think, by and large, I think we've done a pretty good job with the internet. I mean, there's certainly, there's certainly problems too. I mean, we've got issues out there, but a lot of those to me are essentially related to building trust online. And that's what we're doing here. That's what the whole point of this distributed ledger technology is, to build that and firm that layer of trust up such that we can interact safely, securely, privately, all those things.
I heard 100%. Yeah. Sorry. 100%. I mean, it's the interesting thing to me is, how the internet is, for the most part, for most of us, it's an open space. We can openly interact across borders. There's no sort of draconic regulation, unless you're unfortunate to live somewhere that's a bit of a hermit kingdom, or where those kinds of things are a bit more oppressive in terms of what you can do on the internet. The fact that this thing came about, that we've all managed to talk to, right now we're all talking to each other, and the regulation didn't stifle it to the extent where we couldn't have a conversation like this. It was considered, they were considering that, at least from what I read. They're trying to hit some of it into border and stuff like that. And I think it's the same thing with blockchain. This idea of expansiveness and openness. Now we're getting to this idea of interoperability and all this stuff. I think definitely from my minor understanding of it all. I can see kind of similarities there. It's exciting that that he did make that comparison. At least, yeah, I think it's an exciting analogy to make.
Right.
Zepsi, thanks for jumping on. I appreciate it. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, DLT technology is just as revolutionary as the internet. And I think a lot of the politicians learned a lesson. The ones that were pushing too hard for regulation, didn't really understand it, didn't take the time to understand it. They were made to look like fools. Right. And anybody, I mean, you go back and look at some of the early news broadcasts or David Letterman grilling, who was that? Bill Gates. And they end up looking foolish. And politicians don't want to look foolish. So
Right.
they understand, they've been told enough that this is a revolutionary technology that's going to change the world. And they don't want to stand in the way of that. That's for sure.
Right. Right. Good deal. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this puppy up and thank everybody for being here for another one of these Savannah Hedera meetups. Again, this is hosted by Creative Coast out of Savannah, out of the coastal area of Georgia, particularly out of my home city of Savannah. And so we're always appreciative to the Creative Coast for letting us host these. And thanks again to Brandon. Thanks again, and the Hedera Forum. Thanks, Rob, thanks for being here, buddy. Always, seeing that Walla Wallet background and seeing my dedicated and highly intelligent and productive partner, Rob Keynes. Always a pleasure. Captain Brando, thanks for being here, buddy. Chris Fox, everybody. And big thanks to Tune.fm, Andrew Antar for giving us those jam tokens. Thanks to Earthwalker. And we'll be reaching out to you via Twitter here in the near future. It will be, probably sometime later tonight after I'm done my obligations, if not tonight, early tomorrow morning. And I think that is it. And we will see everybody else in the very near future. Thanks everybody for being here, and join us next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Take care, guys.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right. See you, everybody.
Take care, everybody.